My family went through something recently that no one should ever have to face. It all started with a flagpole, but it ended with handcuffs, federal investigations, and a woman who thought she ran the neighborhood, learning the hard way that power isn't just about who talks the loudest, sometimes it's about who listens the longest. My grandfather, Arthur Bennett, is a veteran, the kind who doesn't make a big deal about it. He doesn't wear those "Vet Lives Here" signs on the lawn or brag about his past. He's the kind of man who brews coffee like it's a mission, walks like he's always checking the perimeter, and stares into silence like it still speaks to him. After he moved in with me, things were peaceful. Not quiet like nothing's going on, peaceful, like the kind that settles into your bones and makes you feel safe just because he's near. But for one neighbor, that peace was apparently a problem. Her name was Delilah Freeman, and if someone said she ironed her socks and alphabetized her thoughts, I wouldn't question it. She wasn't elected to the HOA board. She declared herself president one afternoon like it was destiny, laminated her own badge, and started enforcing rules no one had voted on. Clipboard always in hand, sunglasses permanently perched on her head like a crown, and that "I'm doing you a favor by being here" smile. You know the type. It all started with a mailbox. Arthur's mailbox wasn't even that different, a simple eagle decal, the kind you'd find at a hardware store, nothing flashy. But to Delilah, it was the beginning of the end. She left a violation notice taped to our door in pastel pink duct tape like it was supposed to be menacing and cheerful all at once. It read, "Notice of violation, mailbox is non-standard. Decorative elements must be removed within 72 hours to avoid fines." Arthur read it, said nothing, peeled it off the door, and used it to prop up the wobbly leg on the kitchen table. "Another one of those clipboard tyrants," he muttered. I laughed. I shouldn't have. 3 days later, the second notice came. This time it was laminated and printed in a bold font as if the printer had been set to rage. "Flagpole exceeds regulation height. Remove immediately or face escalating penalties." The pole in question, 10 feet tall, American flag, clean and straight, proudly standing in the front yard. It had been in the family since I was 12. Arthur looked it over like it was an old comrade, then tossed the notice into the trash without a word. I'm not lowering the flag for her. That's when the morning patrols started. Every day at exactly 9:14 a.m. Never a minute early, never a minute late. Delilah would march past our house in her visor and orthopedic sneakers, mumbling into her Bluetooth like she was narrating a spy documentary. Visual confirmation. Subject remains noncompliant. Capturing time-stamped images. I caught her once standing inches from the mailbox, whispering like she was on a stakeout. "Should we say something?" I asked Arthur. "Nope," he said, flipping through the newspaper. "Let her keep watching." "You're not worried?" He didn't look up. "She's not the first person who thought a clipboard made her dangerous." That line stayed with me. I thought it was just one of his dry comebacks until the boots showed up. 3 heavy knocks on the front door, sharp, aggressive. I opened it to find 2 men dressed in tactical black polos, cargo pants, boots, and mirrored sunglasses despite the overcast sky. "We're with Clearfield Estates Community Enforcement," one said, his badge dangling from a lanyard that still had an Office Depot tag on it. "I'm sorry, is that official?" "We're authorized by the HOA to deliver a removal notice." "You're evicting my grandfather?" "This is a voluntary relocation. He has 48 hours to vacate or the matter escalates." "Escalates to what?" "Community security measures." Arthur stepped out then, coffee mug in one hand, hoodie half-zipped, no shoes. "Which one of you wants to try?" The taller one blinked. "Sir, this is a compliance action." "You ever serve?" Arthur asked. Silence. I asked if you ever wore a uniform that mattered. I didn't realize my fists were clenched until that moment. My heart was pounding. These guys weren't cops. But what if they tried something? "Unless you've got a real badge or a court order, you're trespassing," I said. "We're operating under community jurisdiction." That Delilah made up. "Leave." Arthur stepped forward, not breaking eye contact. "You've got 10 seconds before this turns into something your little clipboard can't handle." And just like that, the bravado cracked. The 2 men backed off, shuffled to their dented SUV, and sped off without even closing the door properly. Arthur sat back down and sipped his coffee. "She's getting desperate. What do we do?" He handed me a brass key. "Upstairs closet. Top shelf." "What is it?" Something I hoped I'd never have to open again. Inside the closet was a footlocker heavy, covered in dust, tucked behind a folded flag and a duffel with faded patches. When I pried it open, I found documents, redacted files, surveillance photos, satellite maps stamped with Restricted Strategic Response Ops. Underneath that, a sealed pistol, a black USB marked Ops Only, and a letter sealed with the Pentagon's insignia. You in some kind of spy movie I don't know about? I asked him. Not anymore, Arthur said. Now it's just insurance. Turns out Arthur had been part of something called VNAP's Veteran National Asset Priority Status. They kept tabs on him not because he was dangerous, but because if he disappeared, too many people would ask questions. Like witness protection? More like don't poke the bear protection. And Delilah had poked the bear. Then came the fourth forged notice, enough to trigger something automatic. Arthur pulled out a battered flip phone and pressed speed dial. Tommy, he said, we've got a situation. Tommy Waterdog Holloway was the kind of guy who answered the phone with, "How many and how armed?" A day later, black pickups rolled into the cul-de-sac. No plates, windows tinted like obsidian. Out stepped Tommy, Reed, and Jones, the team. Delilah watched from behind her curtain, phone recording, smug expression fixed on her face. She wasn't just on a power trip. She was cashing in. We uncovered a shell company, Fernridge Holdings LLC, tied to Delilah, receiving deposits from the HOA Compliance Fund. Her partners? Gregory Vance and Melissa Carter, both listed on the Articles of Incorporation. We converted the garage into an op center. Tommy on comms, Reed pulling licensing records, Jones handling surveillance. I tracked financials and violations. We found fake donations, fraudulent fines, inflated fees. A widow named Marlene had paid over $3,000 in code violations because her window blinds didn't match. This isn't just fraud, I said. It's predatory. Arthur nodded. She went after the ones who wouldn't fight back. We compiled everything. Then we made the call. The Office of the Inspector General responded within 48 hours. Karen's accounts were frozen. Her LLC was flagged. Her partners were subpoenaed. But it wasn't over. At 1:12 a.m., Delilah appeared on our porch. Hair a mess. Folder in hand. Eyes hollow. I didn't know, she whispered. You did, Arthur replied. You just didn't think you'd get caught. She handed over the folder, emails, bank transfers, signed documents dating back 3 years. Enough to bring the entire operation down. And it did. The HOA dissolved. Official. Final. No appeals. At the rec center, a county official publicly thanked Arthur Bennett for protecting the community. No speech. No grandstanding. Just one slow, solid nod. The neighborhood restored the flagpole Delilah tried to tear down. Only this time, it wasn't just Arthur's. It belonged to all of us. And Delilah? She took a plea. 5 years probation. Community service. Banned for life from any HOA leadership role in the state. Poetic justice. I asked Arthur if he'd attend the 4th of July picnic. Only if there's cake. There's always cake. Then I'll supervise. I learned more that summer than in the last 5 years combined about fear, silence, and what it really means to protect something. Because in the end, Delilah didn't just lose her grip. She lost the kingdom she tried to rule. And now the rocking chair still sits on the porch, but the view is better than ever. The flag flies high and no one's ever dared to touch it again.